Hey everybody, welcome back to our last installment of our team website homepage. So far we have done our wireframe and we have done the first part of our HTML. Now we need to go ahead and we need to start working on the CSS to make this actually look like it should. So to start, what we're going to do as we go down here and we look at the different things, we're going to just go down the page and do them kind of in order from top to bottom. For you, you can absolutely change all the colors and all the information like name and class and stuff. And you will need to make sure that you change all of the colors. But we're not going to worry about that. We're going to worry about the HTML or the CSS rather that you may not know about necessarily right off the top of your head. So first thing is navigation. Our nav is a list of links, but it is a list that doesn't look like a list. So in your HTML, go up into your style tags at the top. And from our template, I've done a decent bit of that for you already. We're going to actually go ahead and start with nav right here. So our nav, we're not going to keep as, I guess we can keep it as Rebecca Purple. That's fine. So right under your nav section, we're going to go ahead and start with our nav UL, the unordered list inside of nav. There's some formatting that we have to override. So first off, excuse me, sorry, we're clicking, is that we have to say that our list style type is going to be none. We do not want the bullet points. Apparently it's going to be a typing day. I'm sorry. Oh my goodness gracious. So none. As we do that, it takes all the bullet points off. Now usually there's some margin and padding that you have to overwrite, but we actually have done that already. At the top here, we took margin padding off of everything already. So our nav LIs. Oh, sorry. We're at school here today and apparently the PA test. So our nav LIs, we're going to display not as they normally are. We're going to display them in line. So that way, as you click over, they line up next to each other real nicely. Our nav LIA, the A tags inside of an LI in the nav section. We're going to display those as inline block. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to take the color. We're just going to make that white. And we're going to remove the text decoration, which is the underline. Apparently Dreamweaver is being not so friendly to me today. So, doesn't look like our underline came off quite yet. But that is, I think, probably a Dreamweaver error. It'll work out fine in the edge. Additionally, we want to add a little bit of padding. So remember, padding is a shortcut. The first number will be for top and the bottom. So we're going to say that we want this to be 2VH for the top and the bottom. And then we're going to say that we want it to be, we'll say 2VW for the sides. So apparently it's just taking a second here for everything to work out. And every now and then Dreamweaver, as you're well aware, just gives some slowness issues. So we'll just double check that in a moment. So nav lia hover. We're just going to go ahead in this case and change the background color to white. And we are going to go and change the text color to Rebecca Purple. And then we will actually add the text decoration back on there. And we'll have it underlined. Some days things are just difficult. So now, as you see there, we have the appropriate amount of stuff on there. Our navigation actually looks like a navigation bar. And you can see when you hover, color, background, and then the text decoration all change. So navigation is good to go. So as we look back at our wireframe here, we now see our banner image. Let's go ahead and take just a second here and go back into Photoshop. And let's create ourselves an image just as a placeholder. So for this one, we're going to start with web large, but we do not want it to be 1080 high. We want this to be more like 400 high. And then for our placeholders, we're just going to use that paint bucket. It could be the gradient right up here in the middle. We just want the paint bucket. And we'll just turn this to be this nice light gray, just like it was in the wireframe. And we'll just put a line of text in the middle that says this is our banner, and that is 1920 by 400. Just for the simple reason of when we go and we're actually going to make the image, it'll make it easier in the end to remember what's what. So for this one, go ahead and export this one as a PNG. And this one should go, again, all of your files. We created this folder for this already. So all of your documents that you create need to make sure that you go into that folder, which should be called Team Website. And we're going to call this right here the banner placeholder. And then again, you should make sure you're inside of your Team Website file folder. While we're in Photoshop, let's do one more placeholder image. So go up to File and do New. And we'll do one that's a square this time. As opposed to the much larger, wider banner, this square placeholder, we'll say, we'll make this 800 by 800 today. In the end, the sizes don't necessarily matter that much because we affect that mostly with CSS. So same process, paint bucket, change the background color, and then text. Oops, that's 80, my bad. So that's 800 by 800 placeholder. We're just going to go make that just a little bit bigger so we can see it and drag it to the approximate center. So same thing, export it as a PNG and go ahead and put it inside of your Team Website. Let's see. Call it Square Image Placer. I think that works out just fine. So now in your HTML, you have these images. So what you should be able to do is we have this image with a class of banner. Replace your source attribute with that image, which should be right here, banner placeholder. And then additionally, for your circle images, same thing. I know it seems odd to make square image be the thing that you do, but again, we're going to affect that in CSS. I must have missed one, huh? So inside of source, you erase that hashtag, you just hit that space bar. And then you can go and replace the image. So now we're looking for this. Right now we have something that is substantially different than that. Again, apologies. They're apparently checking the PA again. So now we have to write the CSS to make this thing work the right way. So we have a class of banner that we added. We don't have CSS for banner yet. So in your CSS, you're going to do .banner. Remember, the period there is the class selector. And for banner, we just display that as a block. And we just give it a width of 100%. So it goes and it takes up the entire width of, in this case, the container. And then you can see that this right here actually makes it fit much nicer inside a container, as it should. So now our square or circle images, I'm going to cheat just a little bit here. I'm going to copy banner. You could retype it if you want to. And we're going to make circle image the same thing. We're going to make it a width of 100% for now. And then we're going to go and we're going to take the border radius down to, we'll say, 75px. Now, this is not going to look right quite yet. You can see the border radius actually changed quite nicely. But we have more CSS to write for this box that we made. So for our box, remember that we put these boxes together so we can contain these three different segments of content. So our box, we're going to have a width of, we'll say 30%. So when you change the width to 30%, all of a sudden our box goes and it's much smaller with all the content inside of it. Now, the 30% here, you can see that our border radius isn't quite enough, right? So our border radius is 75 pixels. So let's double that to say 150 pixels. And again, Dreamweaver issue, okay. I must have made a mistake. Yeah, we'll let it go in just a second. So for our boxes here, we're going to display the ISPL, display them as inline block. And we're just going to give them a margin of, we'll say, 2VH, just so they're not touching each other. And I think probably actually 2VH maybe is a little bit too small, but then again, it could also maybe just have not added yet. So now you can see actually that we typed and everything is now much more aligned as it should be. You have 3 rows here, or 3 circular images that are actually squares, but now we just took the corners the radius off the border, the corners, made it look right. So the last couple of things that we have is going to be our box text. I think I did this. My fault. So let's make it just a little bit larger to fit our page. 3.5 VH should do it. Then also we want to align the text to center. And take a look. And overall, I think that works pretty okay. Let's give a little bit of padding to our text here because it's touching stuff. We'll just say like a solid 2 VH for padding. Should work out okay. And then you'll notice that this content isn't necessarily centered. I think to make it center, you probably would have to do more of a flexbox sort of display. And we did not wrap those around. But I think for our purposes right now, this is probably enough. We'll do a flexbox display on one of the other pages. And that should work out just fine. So now your assignment to finish this up is to change all the colors and make this look like a little bit more like what you should see for a finished product of a website. We eventually will actually put a team in here, but we've done design based on our wireframe. Now it's your job to go ahead and complete this thing and make this look nicer. Good luck.